Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation on BRT2 TV. My name is Jan Ghazi, and once again I have a special guest in the studio with me this week. And it's a return guest. She's been on my program a couple of times, the lovely Claire Morley. And today we're talking about her book on Amazon, which is a #1 bestseller, Tindog Tacloban. And we'll be hearing about her story and about the book and about her extraordinary experience. Well, you know what, I'm not going to say much more because she's got a lot to share with us. So first of all, Claire, welcome back to the programme.
Thank you very much, Jan, for having me again.
It's a great pleasure to see you. And thanks to Facebook, it's great that we can see what's going on in your life and how things have developed since we last met. But 18 months ago, the lives of the people in Tacloban changed. And I know that you went to this far remote region, typhoon hit, devastated region, as a volunteer, and you helped, for 1 month you were there in that country supporting the efforts to get these people back to, normality,
Yes.
in inverted commas. 18 months along the line, and we have a book now,
Yep.
and it's a very different book to the one I expected you to write. I thought maybe you might write about your experiences. I know that you interviewed many people there, and it may have been like a sort of like collection of the interviews and maybe your experiences. But actually, this is very different. Before we talk about the book, let's talk about the beginning of this. Tell us a bit about your experience all those months ago. How many months ago did you go to this area?
Well, if the typhoon happened in November, and initially a lot of volunteers weren't encouraging people to go there because it was in such a state of devastation. So it wasn't until March that I went. So I spent the whole month of March there helping to rebuild schools, helping to feed children, going out to the tented cities and providing hot meals. Bearing in mind, in the tented cities they've got no electricity, no running water. So that was my month while I was there. And I was very fortunate in that I met in fact previously he was a radio presenter. The radio station had been destroyed in the typhoon, so obviously he was no longer working. And he spoke excellent English and knew a lot of people, and very kindly took me around and introduced me to a lot of people who had survival stories, actually. So those are the people part of the people that I interviewed were people who had gone through the whole of the devastation of the typhoon. And then I also, the volunteers that I worked with, I interviewed them and other organisations that were there to help people recover from the devastation of the typhoon. So I had a whole cross range of interviews, about 40 odd in total I think it was, to be able to pull from my experiences for the book. So although none of the interviews actually are the basis for it, they inspired me, and there are little snippets from each one that maybe I've used to help me create, or hopefully create, relievable characters.
I'd like to remind our viewers that this is not really your first time in literature, because obviously you were a columnist for Cyprus Today as well a while back, Superwoman. I remember your series of...
Action Woman, not Superwoman.
Oh, Superwoman, Action Woman. I know that you every week did a different activity or something new. You challenged yourself.
Yes.
I know one of them was coming to be a radio DJ at our radio
That's
station.
right, yes.
Which was good. But, I mean, in a way, you became a superwoman because you actually went out and did a very, very difficult thing that not everyone would do, and you actually gave up a month of your life to help a country that was destroyed by a natural disaster. And not long after, I mean, as you said, you went in March after the November event, so really you were there quite soon after the tragedy. So you saw how things were really not long after it all happened. It must have been a very, I don't know, difficult time, a difficult time for you, emotional,
yeah.
Distraught time. I mean, did you ever, as you were flying out there, thinking, right, I'm on my way now to help people, did you have any idea what you were going to find at the other end?
No, not to the extent that I actually saw when I got there. I remember flying, because I flew into Manila initially, and then I had a night in Manila before the internal flight down to Tacloban, because at that time the airport in Tacloban still had no control tower. It had been completely wiped out by the typhoon, so they were only flying during the day. I didn't know that at the time. I might have been even more concerned. I'm not a great flyer at the best of times. And so when I flew in, it was obviously daylight, and I just remember sitting looking out of the window at this flattened city. Trees were devastated, uprooted. The vegetation had just started to grow back, But where there had once been green hills, they were still brown from, you know, where everything had been ripped away. Houses completely destroyed, and I'm not talking just wooden houses, concrete houses destroyed. So yes, it was, although I had researched before I went out there and spoken to the people who I was volunteering with, it still never quite prepared me for the total devastation. And you know, that's still what, November, December, January, February, 4 months afterwards. And the debris was still everywhere. It hadn't been cleared, it was still, I wouldn't be surprised if it was still, even now, certainly in existence. But the people in the tented cities, when you came into the airport, you then drove out, there's a peninsula there, drove out, and it was just tented cities where people had been relocated by the UNHCR tents. And it was just, well, you just couldn't believe where you were, what you were seeing. So
amazing. I know that, you know, for you, you were funded, you were sponsored, to go out there and to do your month there. In fact, when you came back and you came on my TV program back then, we were talking about maybe if you ever would go out again, and I'm not sure whether you want to do a repeat of that, but you've kept it in your mind still, because that's why we've, you know, all these months later still, the book has come out. So you must have been sort of inspired, affected by what happened there for you to write Tindog Tacloban. Because if it's not something that you do and then you close the the lid on that box and then move on with your life. Yeah. Obviously, you couldn't move on as easy maybe as you thought you did. I mean, did it affect when you came back to North Cyprus? Did it affect you in a way that you thought? Did it still play on your mind what was going on back there?
Yeah, I think it did to a degree, certainly. And obviously, I came onto your program and I was giving talks as well because I wanted to share that experience with other people and make them realise just, it's all very well what we see on the TV in a snapshot when the news is on it, but as soon as the news stops focusing on that area, people tend to forget about it. And I suppose I wanted to try and keep people's interest is the wrong word, but be awareness of it, and that it was still going on, and these people hadn't. And it wasn't just what happened that particular day in November, it's how it's continued to affect all those people out there. There's still so many living in the tented cities now, without electricity and without running water. And this is 18 months later, more than 18 months.
Yeah.
So yes, it wasn't something that I felt I could just switch off from once I got back to Cyprus. And I also felt I owed it to the people who I interviewed there to do something with all that information. I had this hours and hours of interviews, and I couldn't just say, well, that's it, I've taken all these pictures, interviewed all these people, and that was the end of it. So that's why I was contemplating how I could use all that knowledge and information and experience and try and do something with that as something for the people there, really. And so that's why it was actually my partner who came up with the idea of writing a fictional book. So he said, rather than writing something non-fiction, why don't you try putting it into a story? So that's how it started.
Yeah.
But that it was probably another 2 months before I started writing. I did months and months of research, exactly what's it like to be in a typhoon, endless research of a particular subject. Of one of the subjects of the book, main subject, is the webcam child sex tourism. Contacted organisations that are involved in it, got information from them. They helped me a lot in providing me with what they're doing and how prevalent it is, particularly in the Philippines, although not just restricted to the Philippines.
That's what amazes me about this book, because obviously if someone said to me, right, Claire Morley's bringing out a book, I would say, if she's talking about the Philippines and Tacloban, then she must be talking about her experiences or the interviews that she held with the people that she met while she was there. But as you say, it's all changed around a bit now, and you've actually brought in a completely different side. You've combined the devastation of a typhoon with a story. Well, it's all about sex trafficking, isn't it, really?
Yes.
Of young children. So where did this come into? Obviously, it's happening, it's true. But where did this come? Why did you get interested in this side of the story?
Well, I think human trafficking has always been something that has been, I've covered it before for the newspaper, in fact. So human trafficking has always been something in the back of my mind that's a cause that I'm keen to highlight and make people more aware of. Whilst I was actually in Tacloban, one of the organisations there, one of the NGOs, Red R, ran workshops. I mean, many of them did do different types of workshops, but one of them that I attended, that they actually held, was about human trafficking. And they specifically brought up something that I had never even heard of before, which is the webcam child sex tourism. Well, the fact that it's webcam indicates that it's a new form of trafficking or child exploitation, sexual exploitation, because before webcam obviously wouldn't have existed. But now with the ability to be able to transmit throughout the world just using a small camera on your computer, this has now become a huge area of growth within the Philippines and outside of that. But the worst thing about it really in terms of pornography is that it can't be traced. It's not when people are watching pornography, and especially when it's illegally, it's registered on their computers. There's a history. Whereas this is a webcam, it's live. Once they've turned off that webcam, there's no history.
Right. So they can't be traced.
Not traced, exactly. Yeah.
So because obviously what we're talking about here is actually, well, I suppose paedophiles watching young children. So they are really just as bad as watching anybody else out there, doing it live or whatever. Yeah. But they can't be traced because it's a webcam. As you say, it's a new industry, I suppose.
Relatively, yes, of course.
Relatively new industry, since all the development in as you say, wherever you are in the world, just click on the button and you're somewhere else, transporting to a different world. So this book of yours, I mean, we have, this is the cover of the book.
Yeah.
Number one, congratulations with that. We'll talk about that in a bit. This photograph of the young child, is this a photograph that you took when you were there?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So, but it's not your, obviously, she's safe and sound wherever she is.
Yes, she is.
And it's a fictional story.
Yeah.
Based on what you've heard, what you've learned on your research. Without giving too much away of the story, tell us a bit about what does Tindog in Tindog Tacloban mean?
Well, when I was there were banners everywhere that said Tindog Tacloban, and basically Tindog means rise up. So it was the people who had obviously suffered huge loss, whether it was family, all their possessions, their home, absolutely everything. They were amazing people because they were so resilient. They were going to rise up again. So everywhere you went were those banners, Tindog Tacloban. So I felt it always stuck in my mind as something that I would use if I was going to write a book, because it sums up their amazing resilience and their ability to just move on and move on with their lives and make the best of what they have. So that's where the title came from. So it's all about Tindog rising up and Tacloban the city. So that's sort of where it is.
And so this story about this young girl is set. Is it actually set at the time of the typhoon? Or?
It starts, the very beginning is the typhoon itself.
Right.
And they're a family it's a family of 3 children, mother, father, and the grandparents are all living in their house, which is only about 1 kilometre away from the sea, which is quite important because it's the storm surges of sea water that came up that caused a lot of the devastation. And they've seen many typhoons before, so they've got a house which is a solidly built house, so they think they're going to be perfectly safe, and it's raging outside, but we'll be fine in the house. But of course this is the strongest typhoon that's on record ever to hit landfall. So it's not like the normal typhoon that they are used to, and suddenly their house roof is ripped off. It's early in the morning, because then it happens about 6 o'clock in the morning. And suddenly, before you know it, all this water is coming in from the sea and flooding the house. And the father, Isel, who's one of the main characters, is desperately trying to keep hold of his 3 children. And his parents and his wife managed to escape themselves, but he's there trying desperately to hold on to them whilst the water is getting higher and higher and higher. And we're talking 15 metres, 10, 15 metres waves coming in. So, there was flooding a kilometre inland, more than 1 kilometre inland. So he's a desperate man trying to save his family, and like a fair gets swept away from him. And at that beginning, you don't know what's happened to her. But then when you find out what's happened is that a predator comes along and recruits her basically into the sex trade. So that's part of, those are 2 main characters, and then there's a 3rd character as well, which is more based on a volunteer going out there and helping.
Right, okay. So to find out more, we'll have to download the book, and we'll talk about actually the book, how to get the book in a bit. But you were speaking off air about this. Do you think, I mean, obviously, you know, the sex trade is a massive market around the world, and, you know, it was probably going on all the time, but we were speaking off air that maybe using the people's inspiration during this time of the typhoon, you know, oh, come on, I'll help you, and I've got a job for you here and there. You know, people obviously were clinging on to, you know, the last help they could get. And of course,
Absolutely.
we're swindled into this, the kids taken away.
Well, it wasn't just children. It happened to men, women, and
Yeah,
children.
adults.
You know, yes, as well. You're in a desperate situation. You've lost everything. Maybe you've lost all your family, or maybe you feel you need to provide for your family. And someone comes along and says, "I've got a job for you in Manila, working in my restaurant," for example. And they think, "Wow, this is an opportunity for me to actually start. You know, I've lost my home. I've got no way to feed my family, no way to rebuild my home. This is a chance for me to start again." So they go along unwittingly, and before they know it, then they're not being paid, they're working for nothing, and they've got no passport, they've got no one to trace them. Maybe their family doesn't even know if they survived. So, you know, it's an ideal, sadly, opportunity for people who are in that industry, in the human trafficking industry, to take advantage of people who are desperate. And in this case, the story is about a young girl, but it easily happens to men and women as well.
Yeah. So, you know, it's something that you know, you've certainly developed in your story. You know, the story there is very, very important. And I know that you are trying to raise awareness for this and for some charities. And again, we'll be revealing you more about them a little bit in a while. But how long did it take you, Claire, to complete this book? I mean, from when you decided that you wanted to write this story to actually, I know that since the beginning of this month, September, it's now on Amazon. So let's say from now, from when did you start until September, when it actually came onto Amazon?
Well, it's taken me a year.
A year?
Yes, well, over. I mean, the book had probably been finished about July time. So it took me a year of actually writing, and you have to be disciplined. And you know, you write it, then you rewrite it, then you rewrite it again, and then you rewrite it again. And it's not as simple as just, okay, well, you know, I had to discipline myself and say, right, I'm going to write X number of words a day, and then sit at my computer, and sometimes I'd stare at the screen thinking, nothing's coming. And then another time it'd be, before you know it, 1,000 words or whatever has materialized. But that 1,000 words isn't going to be what's going in the book. That's, you know, you put your thoughts down and your ideas down, and I would have crisis of, I don't know where this plot's going to go, because I hadn't actually figured out the whole story when I started writing.
Yeah.
It sort of, it was a bit organic, you know, it grew as I was writing. And I didn't know the ending until I'd been writing it for some months. But I would get to a stage and think, I don't know how to get from this bit to that bit. And my thinking time is either walking and swimming, and that's when my brain can go into, right, okay, how can we jig this around or do that, or how can I make this storyline work so that it is remotely believable, you know. So no, it took a year of, I did a writing course as well, a 3-month writing course online.
Right.
And then I took on a mentor who helped me with the writing of it, with the editing of it, with the rewriting of it, with changing it around. And it was if you look at the first 3 chapters a year ago to the first 3 chapters now, they're very different. So, you know, it's not sort of,
It's not as easy as it looks.
No, it's not. And it's somewhere around sort of 90,000 words, so it's a lot of words.
A lot of words.
But there's a lot of words that have been discarded as well, so there's over an awful lot more than that. So
It's a very difficult process. Obviously, you know, writing to capture the people's imagination as well, to capture the reader, is very, very difficult. But as you said, you had a mentor to guide you. And I'm sure more often than not, you know, because you've thoughts, it's very difficult to be within that story, to try and collect all the thoughts together, but somebody else from outside can say, you know, Claire, you know, you repeated,
that's not going to work, yeah.
That's not going to work, or you repeated yourself here, or, you know, change this around. So it's good to have a mentor. And then finally, and what again I find quite amazing is that, because I said to you, bring in the physical book, and you said to me, John, it's not a physical book, it's actually only online from Amazon. So you haven't actually decided yet to print this, because obviously with all the the costs and printing and distribution is quite a difficult thing. So Amazon's quite handy to have there online.
Absolutely.
But what's it like? How do you go about, after writing, putting a book online onto Amazon? I mean, can anyone out there who's written something share it with everyone online, or do you have to go through certain channels? Is it read and reread and make sure that it's of a certain standard, or there's nothing that's wrong in there, no plagiarism, or
anyone can actually put their book on Amazon. If you decide that that's what you want to do, then it's a matter of going on to I'm trying to think what it's called now, the actual Amazon KDP it's called, and you can actually just sign up to that, and you can go through all the process of uploading it yourself. You have to do all the formatting yourself. You have to get the cover designed yourself, and then you upload it according to their regulations and their rules. But no one's going to tell you, sorry, you've got grammatical mistakes in there, or it's not well written, or it's not consistent, or that's up to you to make sure that that's all done beforehand. It's not as simple as just going, there we go, press the button, I'll put my book up there and suddenly I'm going to be a #1 bestseller. There's a lot of pre-work that needs to be done before that. So once you've written the book, there's obviously, it's vital that you get an editor to go through it, because it doesn't matter how many times I read that book, I'm never going to pick up every mistake. I know what it's supposed to say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it as what I think it's saying, rather than actually spotting that word or that spelling or that mistake in the punctuation or whatever. So first of all, it's vital to have somebody who is a professional editor and proofreader to actually go through it.
Yeah.
Absolutely vital. And really, unless you're an accomplished writer, then I would also employ a mentor who can actually look at it and go through it and say, this doesn't work, or that doesn't work, or maybe you're better moving that around, or so that you've got someone from the outside looking in, because whilst it might make sense to you as the writer, it may not make sense to people, because you know what's happened. You've got it all in here, but you've got to sell it to somebody else, someone who's never seen that before. They've got to be able to find that a story that they find interesting and that they want to read. So that's one part of it, and then there's all the pre-work in terms of building up all the marketing side, because once you actually get that book out there, you want people to buy it. The only way they're going to know it's there is if you let them know. And it's all very well saying, I'm going to sell it to put it out there and tell your friends. But how many copies is that going to be? Because I can guarantee every one of your friends is going to buy it. They're going to go, oh, well done, that's fantastic. But maybe it's not a genre that they're interested in, or maybe they're not a reader. Not everybody likes to read. So even your audience there is going to be restricted. And then so you need to be able to get it to beyond that. You need to get it to people who have never heard of you before. So you've got to build up social media, of course, these days. Excuse me, is the vital thing. So you've got to build up your Twitter account, you've got to build up your LinkedIn account, you've got to build up your Facebook account, you've got to build your own author page, you've got to build your own website for a blogging page, and on and on and on. And this isn't stuff that's going to take 5 minutes. This is going to take weeks and weeks of work.
Yeah.
So you need to start well before you're even thinking of putting it on Amazon, doing all that marketing side of it, so that when you finally get to your release date, you get some sales. And that's the secret about being able to get to, and it's number one in my categories, so you have to specify which categories you want to go in.
Right.
And it's number one in one of those categories, and it was in the top 100 of the 2 other categories that I was listed in. But so that doesn't mean I'm in the top 100 of Amazon.
Or Amazon itself,
books,
yeah.
yes.
Obviously, there were lots of different categories. I understood that. So, which category is it number 1 then? What's your category on?
It's World
Amazon?
Literature Asia.
World Literature Asia.
But I mean, you don't, as a buyer, you don't need to know what category it's in. You just click on Tindog Tacloban, and then you download it.
I mean, we can search your name or the name of the book.
Yep.
And it will be there. Obviously, with Kindles as well, people who are online and they can buy easily. So what do you? I mean, let's say I'm on the computer now.
Right.
I'm on my laptop at home. Okay, viewers, you're on your laptop at home now, and we're on Amazon. We subscribe to Amazon. When we download it, obviously it comes down onto the computer. You purchase it and it comes down onto. You can download it onto the computer.
Well, before you do that, you need to download the Kindle app, and the Kindle app is downloadable onto a PC, onto a Mac, iPad, Android. So it's a reader basically, rather than having it on your Kindle, which is your reader's automatically installed, obviously. You just have, it's a free app, which is from Amazon. You just download it onto your computer or Android or whatever it is that you want to use, and then you read it as a book like that. So it'll download automatically. Once you've got the app, you download Tindog Tacloban, it downloads into the app, and then you read it as you would do a book on the Kindle.
Fantastic. So very simple for those who are,
not Kindle users.
Not Kindle users, but if you are, on the computer and you are interested in, literature, this is definitely a book that, one to read. And congratulations on being #1 bestseller. I mean, quite quick, really. I mean, what was the date today? Already #1 in a few days. I mean,
well, that was down to my marketing. You see, that's what it comes down to. Because what you need is a rush of people buying it on that launch day, because that will push you straight up. So it's all very well having a couple of books here and a couple of books there over time. That's not going to achieve anything.
No.
What you need to do is to encourage everybody to buy on that launch day, so that when you do launch, it pushes the book up to the top of those categories.
Do you, as the author, know where and numbers of people, where they are around the world who are downloading? I mean, even though webcams you can't find out who's doing what, who's watching where, but obviously with Amazon, you must be able to know, there's people who've got accounts there, where their account is set up. Do you roughly?
Well, you don't know specifically. Basically, what you can see is whether people are buying from .com, which is everywhere outside of where Amazon have their own offices. So, for example, .co.uk have them. So people who are in the UK will buy from that. .com.au will be Australia. .com.ca will be Canada. So you can see which countries they're being bought from. But you can't see anything more than that. I mean, I can't go, oh, that friend of mine said they bought it. I can see they haven't. You can't actually drill down that far, but you can see which countries they're coming from.
Right, so you know how far and wide your readership is. But it must be very good, you've done very well for marketing then, to be able to push your book up as soon as it was on Amazon, and to get #1, at least in the category that you wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And I think it's an amazing achievement. And I think this is the way forward now. I mean, it's very, to be honest, myself, when I have a book, I like to hold the book in my hand.
Yes.
I'm old-fashioned in that way. But, we're saving trees now, aren't we? We don't have to, buy the book physically. We can download it, and it's on our Kindle, or, as you say, get the application and download it onto whatever, onto your smartphone even, whatever.
That's right, yeah.
But, this is the way forward. So you must be very proud of yourself that you've achieved this. And
Well, I am, because I wanted to raise my driving force behind it is to raise awareness and to raise funds for the organisations that I worked with. At the time of actually writing it, I had 2 organisations in mind. They were International Disaster Volunteers, who I volunteered with whilst I was there. I don't know if you remember, I had the T-shirt on when you interviewed me last time.
Yeah.
And also another organisation called the Mobile Soup Kitchen for Kids, which is an organisation that's going from school to school, still providing kids with a hot meal at lunchtime. So those were the 2 definite organisations that I wanted to support. But I also wanted to look at in supporting a human trafficking organisation, because obviously that's a large part of what the book is about. Yeah. And although it's sort of slightly off from the Philippines, it obviously is human trafficking based. So now the 3rd organisation I've decided is the Migrant Offshore Aid Station, MOAS, which is a completely privately funded boat that's trawling the Mediterranean, picking up refugees who are unfortunately in that situation at the moment. So those are the 3 organisations that I'm supporting through the sales. But you have to sell an awful lot of books for it to make a huge difference. I mean, it's on sale for £2.99, but I don't get all of that. Amazon have their cut as well, so
yeah.
So you have to sell a lot to make a huge difference. But anything that I can is going to be helpful to them. So.
A drop in the ocean, but it's an important drop in the ocean. And if you didn't do it, then it's $1 or 1 sterling or 1 cent less than they would have got if you hadn't written the book.
Yeah.
So you just give away now the price of the book. So they're very cheap as well. So there's don't groan about having to buy it. I wish it was more money, so that more money would go to these associations. But you've done a great job.
Well, it's the first time having read through lots of guidelines and books. I didn't just research for writing that. I researched how to self-publish and how to go about marketing it and everything. And as a first-time publisher, you have to look at it, then you haven't got a track record, so people aren't going to pay a lot of money for your book. So you have to try and, again, that's a very important issue. As I say, in marketing, pricing is one of the 4 Ps. So you have to then try and put it into a position that people are going to go, oh, it's $2.99, that's okay, I'll buy it. If it was $4.99, they'd think, maybe not. So it's trying to work out. And the great thing with Amazon is, of course, I can move that price if I want to. If I find that sales are going really well, I could up it a little bit. Or if they're going really badly, I can bring them down a little bit. And if I do find any spelling mistakes, or some people have pointed out that there are, oh, did you know there should be a full stop there? I can actually make the change. So you can update things if you want to. So it's not as a printed book. Once it's printed, that's it. You can't do anything. It's gone out there.
Yeah, which is a great advantage.
Absolutely,
for you, just in case there is something that that your media eyes have missed, or that your proofreader has missed as well.
Yeah.
But you said that your partner was encouraging you first of all to do this. Now, whilst you were writing, did you ever share it with anybody else? I mean, as a writer now, as an author, I'm very intrigued. There you are, either swimming or walking in North Cyprus, and you're inspired by what to write. But did you ever share as you were going along, or was it a very private thing for you? As you didn't want to share it until it was all finished.
Well, to begin with, the only person that knew about it was my partner Steve.
Yeah.
Obviously, because he was the one who had come up with the idea of why didn't I write a fiction book. And we would, when I got stuck in certain places, I would say, I can't. This is what I'm trying to achieve. I want to get from A to B in this particular part of the book. And I don't know how to do it. So we would sit and we'd have a couple of glasses of wine over dinner, and he would throw some suggestions about, and then we go, oh yeah, that might work. So if we do this and do that, maybe, yeah, that's okay, that's good, now I've got an idea. And it would just spark the next bit. So then I would have an idea in my head, and it would slowly then grow, and I'd think, right, okay, now I can do that. So he was aware of it, and it wasn't for quite a while, because it's one of those things, you embark on something like this, even if you say to everybody, I'm writing a book, and everybody goes, oh, how are you going with the book writing? And you've decided you're not going to write it anymore. You're like, oh no, I'm not doing it anymore. So I kept it quite close to my chest for a long time.
Yeah.
And then when I got to a certain stage, I actually got some beta readers. So some friends of mine who I asked them if they would mind reading the first, I can't remember how many chapters it would have been now, but probably about 12, say. Whether they'd mind reading the first 12 chapters and giving me some feedback on it to see whether or not I really had a story, or whether I had an ability to write, because this is a whole new area for me too. So there were a few people that were involved in doing the beta reading, and of course when it finally got finished, they had to read it all again because it all changed. So there were chapters that they would know what was going on, but the whole writing of it, or the structure of it, had changed slightly. So there were some people who read it a good few times. So yes, there were a few people who knew about it, but it wasn't until I'd sort of got close to the end and I knew that I really was going to do this that I made it a bit more public.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you've done an amazing thing. It's a great achievement. I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, I'll write a book and I'll do it, but to actually do it and finish it and have it out there for the public to read is a great achievement. As I said before at the beginning of the interview, you're no stranger to literature because you were actually reporting once upon a time for Cyprus Day newspaper here in North Cyprus, Action Woman. So you're not unfamiliar with writing, but this is obviously completely different. This is fiction. This is something that came from your mind, from your experiences. You've learned during your research. How do you feel now that it's over? Is it like can you now close this chapter of your life, Tacloban, or will it always be with you, do you think?
I think it'll always be with me to a degree, yeah. I mean, it was an incredible experience going out there. I'd never done anything. I'd wanted to do something like that, a volunteer, before. I'd never done it before. So the whole experience was absolutely incredible from many aspects, from the emotional aspect, but actually being there to be able to help. Meeting these amazing people who had lost everything and yet were still so positive, and then of course using that experience to inspiring me to actually go on and write the book. So I think it will always be quite a large part of me, because it's well, this is now over 18 months, isn't it? So it's been a part of my life for quite a while,
and here we are still talking about it.
And here we are still talking about it. And even with the marketing and everything is still ongoing. Like I said, there's all the marketing build up to publishing. There's also the ongoing marketing afterwards to try and keep interest. Yeah. And obviously desperately trying to raise money for those organisations that I'm supporting. And I had a lovely little message from a Filipino girl working here over the weekend saying, thank you so much for what you're doing for my country. Now, how amazing is that? You know, it's just...
Wow.
Yeah.
It is
so,
nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling.
Oh, it's wonderful. So just no, it won't ever go away. I don't think it'll always be, yeah.
Obviously, it's too early to say, you know, to ask you this, but do you think you have more in you to share? I mean, in 1 month you collected so many stories, your own experiences. I mean, as I said, if you had asked me what type of book Claire Morley would have written, I would have, you know, put my money down saying that it would have been a factual book about her experiences, or, you know, what her, you know, your interviews. But, you know, you certainly caught me off guard with this. Would you ever do another book, or would you go something completely different, or is this it now? This is my one book in my life that I've written.
I've already got some ideas for another one.
You've already got
I haven't started putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard yet. Yeah, but I have got some ideas for another book. It'll be completely different. It'll be much more of a fiction book. It won't be inspired by an experience like this. So it will be very, very different and be more of a... so this one it's very difficult to put this in a genre, because although it's sort of thriller-ish, it's also contemporary fiction, and it's also about a very sensitive subject, so it's quite difficult really to put it into a pigeonhole. So I'm probably looking more at a standard sort of thriller crime sort of.
So the writing bug has certainly gripped you.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. I learnt so much from doing it that it would be a shame not to use that and see whether I can actually carry on and do some more. So we'll see. But it's going to be, I've got a lot of other things that are ongoing at the moment that I won't be starting it for a while. So it'll be a while before it actually really starts to take off. So we'll see.
Do you think, I mean, there are lots of people out there, especially living in North Cyprus, where, you know, you've got time on your hands, or most people have time on their hands, especially, you know, expats who are retired, who maybe want to share their work. But of course, obviously, the physical book, you know, getting out there, finding an agent, a publisher, and then distributing is quite difficult. Would you say that, you know, using this way of Amazon is a great way of, you know, getting your book out there?
Definitely.
And could you help other people to do this as well?
Yes, it is an area that I'm looking into, because obviously, again, I did a lot of research to be able to do it for myself, and it seems a shame not to be able to then use that to benefit other people. So yes, it is an area that I'm looking at, you know, putting together like a marketing and e-publishing plan, so that it will help people, you know, understand really what's involved, because, you know, again, as I say, it's not just the loading it up there to the Amazon site. There's a huge amount of more work needed if you want it to actually sell and for people to be aware of it. So yes, it is an area that I'm definitely looking to go into a bit more detail. To watch this space. Watch this space.
The only thing that I'm sad about, or I don't know how we're going to rectify this, is that you don't have a book signing day, though, do you?
I know.
You don't have a book. I mean, I know the book is launched, and you told me that 1st of September the book was launched on Amazon, but we don't get any chance to meet you at the bookshop, or to get you to sign my copy of the book. Or do I get to print out the cover or something, and then you can sign the cover of this book?
Well, I suppose I could do that, couldn't I? No, I'm hoping, I am still approaching agents, and I'm hoping that it will go to hard copy eventually, but it just might take a little bit of time. So,
are you willing then to, if you find the right agent and the publisher, to actually print it physically and get the hard copy out there?
Yeah, definitely.
So we never should say no to a book signing one day.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Yep.
I'm sure that all your fans, because I know that you gave lots of talks around North Cyprus when you not long after you came back from your month in Tacloban. So I'm sure all those people would be very interested to read your book and share your experiences. But you know, it's a shame that it's not actually on the bookshelves somewhere.
I know. Well, we're working on it.
You're working on it. Well, I hope that you know, it's there. Very quickly, once again, tell us who are we supporting with the purchase of the book. It's how much is it now? It's $2.99. $2.99 sterling.
Yeah.
If you are on Amazon, you can purchase it. If you've got Kindle, it's very easy. If not, you get the reading application and download it onto any you know, iPad, smartphone, whatever.
Yep.
And the money goes to, remind us again.
The money goes to International Disaster Volunteers, who I actually volunteered with in the Philippines, Mobile Soup Kitchen for Kids, MSKK, which is an organisation in the Philippines that are tackling it one soup bowl at a time. That's their slogan. And they are based in Tacloban and Leyte, the island of Leyte of the Philippines. And MOAS, which is the Migrant Offshore Aid Station, which is helping rescue the refugees out of the Mediterranean.
Fantastic. Do they know these associations? Have you contacted them about?
Oh, they all know. Yes.
So hopefully they're pushing the book as well.
Yep, they are
in their own
indeed.
circles.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, once again, Claire, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And sharing your story with us. And good luck with the sales of Tindog Tacloban. Please, if you do get a hard copy, let us know.
I will, don't worry.
So we can share it with our listeners and viewers on our radio and TV stations. And I'll be interested to come and see you at your book signing.
Okay.
You definitely deserve that accolade of being able to sign your name on the covers of your book, because you've done a great duty to the Philippines, the people there, to the charities that you're supporting. You've given, not really 1 month of your life, but really now nearly 2 years, I suppose. It's 18 months down the line. You were there for a month, but the momentum is still going. It's affected your life in a way that's very, very positive. And hopefully, in a small way, you've affected their lives positively as well.
I hope so, yes.
And I just want to say, well done, congratulations.
Thank you.
And maybe if anyone wants to find out more about you, can they find you on Facebook?
Absolutely, yes, yep.
Claire
I've got a Claire Morley author page, and I've also got Claire Morley on the normal Facebook page, yes.
Instagram?
Not on Instagram, no. I am
LinkedIn?
on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Twitter. At Claire Morley 15, I think, is the Twitter.
So if you want to meet the author, or chat with the author herself, then you can just find Claire Morley. But for the time being, go to Amazon and click on the #1 bestseller. At the moment, Tindog Tacloban by Claire Morley. As I said, congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
hope to see your success grow and grow over the years.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you for
Claire.
inviting me again.
You're more than welcome. And with that, we've come to the end of yet another interesting cover conversation here on BRT2 TV. Until next time we meet, take care and go well. Bye-bye.